Welcome back to Garage K. We're currently doing a ride along in my 98 Altezza. I recently put ITBs on this thing because I wanted more throttle response, a little more power for drifting, and the noise wasn't doing it for me. When installing the ITBs on the Altezza, I chose to use the downpull throttle cable relocation kit from SQ Engineering rather than messing with the fuel rail. It doesn't work with the Altezza throttle cable straight out of the packet, so to make it work I use 25mm spacers. The filter I've chosen uses the Pipercross C604D. Though this is for a 3SG beams, it does not fit into an Altezza. The filter and the backing plate don't need modifying to fit, but you do need to move the water lines and modify the clutch master. I've covered this in other videos and links to those will be in the description. This video will focus on modification of the filter and the backing plate for better fitment and functionality. Now with the combination of parts I have here, the Pipercross Filter backing plate actually contacts the downpull throttle cable relocation kit. It fits okay and it would self-clearance itself because it's rubbing on steel, but I don't like that. To remedy this, you could go for a 30mm spacer instead of a 25mm, but I have a feeling that the backing plate will contact the locking nut on the cable anyway, or do what I'm going to do and modify the backing plate straight out of the packet. Now there's really no limit to the amount of material you can take out of here because the filter doesn't start until about here, so you don't have to worry about cutting into the area that's sealed off by the filter and allowing contaminants to get in there. It just won't happen. If we were to do that to it, that will fit. I could even be so bold as to make a notch in it so that I can get my spanner onto that nut. That would be wild, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be something special? Okay, so because I've done it kind of off center, it only now fits on one way, right? There we go. With the amount of bolt that's exposed here, really wouldn't be a lot more to get this in there. I think it will take a bit more aggressive approach to it. Round 3. Can we adjust the throttle cable? It's not something you need to do every day anyway. But yeah, I think the answer to that is yes. Yeah, you can get it in there. Yeah. So that's doable, which is pretty much all you need. Doable. Now, that bolt down the bottom there is giving me drama. I don't know why. Am I going to have to take the whole thing off again to try to figure out why this one bolt won't go in? The thread on this one's a bit sketchy, so I'm just running the tap through it. Really, the bolt didn't want to go in. Now it will. There we go. This is going to suck. Oh, not as bad as I thought, actually. Get in our little Pipercross pins. There we go, 1 and a 2. There we go. As much as I wanted to have a tower bar, as you can see, there's just no way. So it's not going to happen. There is going to be no tower bar on this car. Oh well. Be putting these plates back on just because. I have to keep telling myself how clean the engine bay is going to look after I do this because I really want a tower bar, but can't. I really hate that I have to take that out. Here we go. Gonna put this one in this way. Hasn't looked like this since I bought the car. Now I'm going to modify the actual filter. It's got a very fine lip down here that always gets caught while you're trying to take the thing out. So I'm going to take that off. Realistically, you only need this front edge here because this is what holds it in while the top bolty, screwy things are holding it in. Now when it's trying to slide past that metal plate, it's not going to get hooked on it at all. See that? That's all I'm getting rid of. It's less than 1 millimeter. But it's just enough to annoy me while trying to get this thing out of here. Let's get rid of this end shit as well. I'm still having trouble getting this in. I'm still having trouble fitting this every time, so I'm taking the front corner off as well to aid with getting it in on that angle. The makers of this filter, if they ever watch this video, are going to be like, what the f are you doing? See the damage to this edge here? That's what's stopping me from getting it out. I'm going to round this corner off as well. I can also see that I'm rubbing here and a little bit here, so I'm going to take all those corners off just because. Here's the filter in its final form. I've rounded off all 4 of these corners, put a bevel across the front. On the back, I've put bevels on all 4 corners, taken this edge off here, and that's about it. Fits in and comes out much easier now. Highly recommend it, no matter how janky it looks. And now we're going to modify the backing plate straight out of the packet, because after you put it on you can't access the synchronizing screws anymore. But what are those screws even for, you ask? They're called throttle bypass screws or sync screws. They allow you to adjust the amount of air that can bypass the throttle butterfly when it's closed. Because now we have 1 throttle per cylinder, it is possible that one cylinder could be getting less air than the others. This is fine tuning so that all cylinders can suck in the same amount of air. I don't know why they didn't include these holes. I guess because once you set them, they're done. But like when you buy this stuff, it's not set, so you're not done. Do you really want to undo 8 screws just to adjust this? No? Me neither. So let's say you want to do this. There are several ways. Let me show you some. The first way is what you see here. I'm just putting some lithium grease around the holes. I'll use the bolts to line the plate up and then press it onto the lithium grease. When I remove everything, the lithium grease will show me where the holes need to be drilled. This works, but it's not what I'm going to do. Next we can use a gasket, but I don't have a gasket. So let's make something. Here I cover the area with masking tape, then tap the sharp edges with something soft. I'm using a trim removal tool. That cuts the tape but won't damage the metal. Remove that, place it on the plate, and that will show us where the hole needs to be. This works too, but again, it's not what I'm going to do. I'm pretty good at seeing the center of things, so using my calipers, I line up one side with the intake hole of the throttle and eyeball the center of the sync screw. Then transfer that onto the plate. Then I do the same thing to the mounting hole, and then I'll have a cross. If I drill a hole in the center of that cross, that will be the center of the screw, provided my eyeballing is on point. Now, I don't know about you, but I reckon that's how it should have come from the factory. It's very easy to see why they didn't bother cutting those holes out from the factory. I'm still glad I did it, because if I want to adjust that, I only have to take one of these off, not all 4. There are 2 possible modifications I can think of to be able to access that screw. One would be a small pilot hole just big enough to get a screwdriver through, then you'd be able to turn it. Or I could grind this area out enough so that the screw could come the whole way out. Both possibilities, but not to do with the Pipercross, so won't be in this video. Let's see how easy this filter is to fit now. Slide it over the trumpets. Line it up, push it down, we're in.